On our interview segment, our analyst, who is also a stockbroker at the Nigerian Stock Exchange, Mr. Charles Fakura, explains how airlines can take full advantage of listing on the stock exchange.
Like any other sector, the airline sector has been well represented in the stock market. We saw companies like Albaca Air, ADC, which was the first to be listed on that sector as far back as 1994. And of course, because of the high risk nature of that sector, we saw ADC after that the plane crash some years ago. They couldn't sustain that crash affected them so much, and they could not sustain their being listed on the stock exchange, and they were delisted. Over that, we also have companies like Albaca coming to be listed on the market, and of course the same issue that affected ADC also affected Albaca, but Albaca did not really have a crash to that effect. But what really happened was that sector is very, very risky, and the profit margin is very low. So it takes a very big investor to continue to be in that industry. And of course, the management of these airlines, you don't have enough capital, you set up an airline, and along the line you cannot even operate. So lack of capital was also a problem affecting some of these airlines that were operating in the Nigerian capital market. And of course, we must rule out the fact of corporate governance. If the companies are not well managed and you just have one man who controls the board, it becomes a problem. Then of course, our regulators in that industry, are they doing what they are expected to do? Are they checking safety standards? Not that because you just have one aircraft, you begin to operate as an airline industry. So I think a lot of all these factors contributed immensely to making us not having enough or a lot of companies from that sector to continue to be listed on the market. The capital market still remain a viable option for funding for any sector in the economy. And the aviation industry is not an exception. But the things have to be done rightly. The monies that will be raised should be monitored. That is, they should be used for the purpose in which they are collected for. Regulators have to be on their toes, ensuring that before you want to operate as an airline in the country, you must have met all the safety standard, international best practice. Not just only one person controlling the affairs of that company. It should be a consortium. 2 or 3 or 4 airlines can come together and form just one mega airline so that they can be sustained, because the profits margin from this is very slim and it's also very risky. So we need airlines with strong financial base to be listed on this market, because the benefits are so enormous if they're able to mobilize funds and be quoted in the market. For Medview, you are talking, Medview came by way of introduction. They have not raised any funds per se, but you could see how the market is perceiving it. Medview is doing quite well, and I think they have also made some returns to their investors. And if I am the financial advisor to Medview, I will advise them, yeah, you have shown some track record. Now you cannot come to the market by way of a right issue, so that your existing shareholders can continue to support you. After they have done that, they can now do what they call a public offer. That is where they have to expand their ownership base, their shareholder base to expand. Because for you to sustain in this market, you must give return to shareholders. They must ensure that all the aircraft they are acquiring is of international standard. They must do their own due diligence before they can come and list in the market. Of course, in the long run, it's profitable. But by the time when you start, there's a lot of challenges, which, like any other venture, any other business, you have to go through those stages before you stabilize and your shareholders begin to get returns. Because you must recognize and give value to all the stakeholders, whether it is your customer, because in terms of your customer service, whether it is a regulator, you must do your return as and when due. And of course, for the market has a behavior. So if you are not performing the way as expected, of course the market is going to reward you by your share price coming down. And if you cannot sustain, then the only option left is for you to delist. However, if these airlines are managed very well, they have good source of funding, there is good corporate governance, I think the stock market is a viable option for them to be listed and continue to be a business where we will not have just one majority shareholder calling the shots in the board. You will see a diversified shareholder base, and that will make the companies to be run profitably, no matter how small the margin is.